who's looking down, like, whenever you do something wrong, if anything bad happens to you after that, it is a direct result of the fact that God is punishing you because you did something wrong, right? Now, in the past, we've talked about guilt versus shame, and the idea that guilt is that you have done something wrong. Shame is that you are wrong, right? I want to break that down for you. For those of you who have kids, and all of y'all weren't born big, so I know. And for those of you who did great in school when you were children, amen. You know, for those of you who have never failed in school, but failed at something else, ride this magic carpet ride with me for a minute. When you were younger, now I know when I was younger, I definitely had a moment where, like, I might have done bad on a test. You know, like I might have failed the test or whatever. And then instead of actually coming and, you know, getting to the point where I'm like confessing of my sins, and I say, you know, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, I failed. I hid that shit. Oh, yes, I hid it. Now, see, the problem with that is, and I heard Kevin Hart talk about this with his son, how his son was bringing home failing grades, and he talked to his son about the fact that it wasn't that he was upset that he was failing. He was upset that he hid the failure, because there is a difference between guilt and shame. Guilt tells you you did something wrong. Shame tells you you are wrong. Shame leads to shameful behavior, like hiding the failure, right? So we are conditioned from a young age that failure is bad. Failure is something to be shamed of. Now, failure can be a result of many things. Failure is never something that you should be ashamed of. You should feel guilt for it, but not shame. Because shame is going to cause you to hide that failure, which means that you will never overcome that thing. So if your kid is still hiding those F's, just take accountability for the fact that you taught them that failure wasn't an option. So instead of coming to you and being able to say to you, hey man, I'm suffering because I have this failure and I have to hide it from you, which means that everything that's happening between us after that is a lie, because I got to not only lie to you about this failure that I feel shame of, I got to also cover up that lie. Which means that I'm still not studying, which means I'm still failing this shit, which means I'm not getting help, which means that all I learn is shame, which means all I learn is deceit. People have to stop treating people with shame for when they do something wrong. And this is a word from on high. Stop treating yourself with shame when you do something wrong. Because all that does is get you on a merry-go-round to constantly hide that thing. The thing that you're abusing, the thing that you're being abused by, the thing that you're addicted to, the thing that you can't start, the relationship you can't get out of, the merry-go-round that you just keep chasing in that hamster wheel. If you continue to hide it in shame, you won't get out of it. I'm not saying you got to go out there and go tell it on the mountain, but you can't hide it. Because you're basically living an existence in shame. Now, you can feel guilty about whatever, but God is waiting for you to show up. He's always there. And if you understand that you are a spiritual being having a human experience, you know that. So, full circle moment with that Monique stuff, I mean, it's just like one of those things where you have to get out your own way. Sometimes in order to make the miracle happen, God needs a little bit of sweat equity from you, as the Bishop Jakes would call it. He needs a little bit from you. Know that he's not up there waiting to punish you when you do something wrong. He already knew you was going to do something wrong. That level, that spiritual level of consciousness, if we already exist in that, then we know that nothing's happened by accident. All of these things are happening purposefully. right? Whether you subscribe to God or not, all of these things are happening purposefully. So therefore, unless you slay the dragon, you then in fact get into this level of kind of merry-go-round. That thing becomes your God. That's the thing that's keeping you from you and your goal. Then you start to look at God as, I'm going to need to, or whatever your connective stream of spiritual is. You start to create distance between this place where you are supposed to be getting expanded consciousness and yourself. You create distance because now you're hiding the F, right? You can't tell daddy that you failed. But that is the beauty of the connection for me on a vertical level with what I subscribe to spiritually, is that I know that he already knows that I was going to fuck up. And I'm not waiting for him to show up because I know that he's already there. I know that he is in fact waiting for me to show up. He is waiting for me to get off the ride. He is waiting for me to get involved in this miracle. That's it. God is not looking to tell you no. He knows the desires of your heart regardless of what it is, and he's never looking to tell you no. A no is not his rejection. It's just him saying, I got different plans for you. I got better plans for you. Join me, if you will. You waiting for me to show up. I'm waiting for you to show up. Put a little sweat equity in it. Let's get it popping. I know what you want. I don't need you to come to me every day like, I need this, I need this. Oh my God, can you please come here, God? Like, Jesus, take the wheel all the time. He's waiting for you to control the steering wheel. That's a didactic miracle. Takes a little bit of human involvement, but it's worth it. In order for us to get, and listen, for some of us, some of that shit is natural. Some of us have the great fortune of, being genetically predisposed to greatness, being energetically predisposed to being this unicorn. You're just already great. And natural miracles happen to you. You just always just seem to just get it. And that's okay. Because there has to be a little bit of that as part of this human experience. There has to be. There has to be things that like love at first sight for some people. I don't know if it's for everybody, but I think that there has to be a little bit of that for some people. There has to be Beyonce. There has to be these people who are kind of supernatural, living in this human experience, that it seems as though they were just given that. So it takes not so much sweat equity to get this thing that doesn't come natural to you. Right? For you, it might take a little bit of human involvement. And that's also part of the human experience. Not all of his miracles are going to be natural. And that's okay. There's still miracles. There's still miracles. So I implore you to really get to the point where you, for our 20th anniversary, yes. What I want to leave you with is that I want you to acknowledge how amazing you are. I want you to acknowledge your eternal soul, so that's self, right? I just started meditating, and as a part of my meditation, I'll wake up in the morning. I sleep with the TV because I need the noise. But I'll wake up in the morning and I will turn the TV off and I will slink down into the bed. And I just allow my body to become, all my weight to just shift down to my back, right? And I put my hand on my chest, in the middle of my chest. And I just kind of close my eyes and feel my heart steadily pumping. I think that that is a way of, for me at least, and I don't know, there's different forms of meditation, but that is a way for me to at least call peace to myself for the day and call the things that I would like to attract to myself. And also a way for me to acknowledge my connection vertically to God, him being above me with nothing else. And that heart, that same heart that I'm feeling, if I see the God in you, because that's where spiritual expanded consciousness takes people, is the acknowledgement of all energies and people, whatever, and things and animals and what have you, seeing the God in everything and everyone, right? So, y'all got me about to be emotional, honey. But I'm saying all of this to say that, this also helps you to have better horizontal relationships, right? So self, whatever's above you, and then whoever's next to you, whether they be kin, skin folk, brethren, whatever, sistren, whatever, whoever they are, right? It just allows me to acknowledge that exists to the left and the right of me. There are these spiritual beings having human experiences, and they're just like me, so keep that in mind when I'm dealing with them, and they may err. And the divinity of forgiveness in that process, even when it comes to myself and when I may mess up. It also allows me to know that, listen, feel your heart. You're still here. So there's still an opportunity, right? I cannot tell you guys how much I love you for listening. I know you love me too. I know. But truly, you guys we are a family. And shout out also to, on Instagram, Hope in Her. That is at Hope in Her. Shout out to the support system. Shout out to Nola and Knight. Shout out to GP3. Shout out to Black Boy Blitz. Shout out to Sophisticated Ignorance. Shout out to Triple T. Shout out to Damn We Grown. Shout out to the Hung Up Podcast. Shout out to XD and Jade. Shout out to Crystal and Kid Fury. Shout out to my niggas in Philly holding me down. Shout out to my boo. That's right, I said it. And shout out to you for being on this ride with me. And, as much as this is fun and passion and cutting edge, because everybody's doing a podcast, for me, it's less about the idea of doing a podcast and more about the idea of being able to speak with you guys in the way that we do. Being able to have an expanded stream of consciousness and having this evolutionary mindfulness shift together, learning together, laughing together, having brownies together. Thank you guys so much for listening, and happy 20th. Peace.